make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And do we have to make a motion to resume the meeting? No.
No.
So, under discussions, the Village of Warwick holidays, that is not the village holidays. We're not thinking that we have control over people's holidays. It was really our staff. And so we did discuss it, but we are going to further that discussion for another meeting. So that is what that was about. And then proposed stop signs at certain intersections in the Village of Warwick. And Tom, you were working on that. And are we ready for that discussion, or do you want to just give the board an overview?
Yeah, I can give a brief overview. So last time we discussed, as part of the Safe Streets for All, and the transportation safety action plan that we were putting together, it was, obviously one of the focuses was around understanding and analyzing the speed from some of we have 3 different signs now that we put around the village to capture some of that data, and then figure out what kind of measures to put in place.
The ones on West Street are not working.
They are working, but I turned the sign off I turned the display off to kind of try to have a better understanding of whether the deterrent factor is actually.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
That's interesting.
That's really
Interesting.
interesting.
I think those they were purchased before we got the contract, right? Under other mechanisms, so we have budget for 2 more. I think as part of Safe
Oh, do
Streets
we?
for All.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is
Yeah.
great.
That's fantastic then.
So, but I think that's like a good testy.
And I'm trying to put
thingy-doogie.
one on each side of so right on West Street, there's one going east and one going west to understand the inbound and outbound traffic. We also did one at Forrester at the entrance of Veterans Memorial Park. And it's exactly as you would imagine. Anecdotally, people understand that they're speeding in those areas, but it's good to actually have those data points.
Yeah, people going like well over 50 miles an hour
That's crazy.
It-
down Forrester.
Right, and so
57, 60 miles an hour.
The DOT looks at the 85th percentile of speed as a metric that kind of takes out some of those outliers. And right, it's consistent speeding area. But the point of that is we may want to consider potentially adding a stop sign, a 4-way stop sign at in front of Veterans Memorial Park, because people go down, that intersection is at the bottom of a hill both ways. So
Yeah.
people will speed both ways, and we see that consistently. And it's the entrance to a park where we're
It's
starting to have more
heavily
and more.
trafficked from a pedestrian
Yeah,
perspective.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pedestrians,
And
right.
especially as we have this new kind of park plan and ideas of how to improve this over time.
Right.
The idea is it'll draw more people. So I think that's one of the, we spoke with the chief last time. In the last agenda, you'll see that preliminary speed data in there, if you want to take a
Yeah,
look at
Right.
yeah, I looked
It's
at
in
it.
this
Great.
one too.
It's in this one.
it. And, sorry, it's 92 pages. I gotta find out what page that's on.
It's up front.
So the other one is, actually, hold on. Let me actually go down and find that data. Oh, thank you, Rita. Useful. So Forrester, it's also interesting. I looked in the same period of time, vehicles going southbound versus northbound, or northbound/inbound. And there were, during the same period of time, there were 38,000 and change vehicles going northbound into the village versus 25,000 southbound towards the school. So it implies a lot of people are kind of either cutting through the village or coming in. And the speeds are broken down into hour of the day. And it's interesting
really
to see
helpful.
that during normal rush hours is when the problem is probably most severe. So one thing is a stop sign could help there, right? Just kind of slow people down. And a lot of the complaints we've been getting around the village, at least a number of them seem to be coming around that particular street, Forrester.
Yes.
So the other intersection we looked at was West Street at Pond Hill.
Right.
The one larger concerning factor there is that there is a bus stop both ways. So for the students who are in that Pond Hill neighborhood are expected to cross the street,
Right.
West Street. And you know, same kind of narrative there with the speeding and the number of violations.
Somebody went 65 miles an hour on Pond Hill at 10.
That's West. It's on West.
On
Street.
West Street.
Yeah. But also keep in mind though, like sometimes these could be emergency vehicles. Like we don't really know. But yeah, I mean when you see kind of some consistency like that in the 50s, which it's more than double the speed limit, that's something to think about. And so one of the ideas was to put a 4-way stop there. Now we don't own Village Cove as a street. The village does not own that. I believe they have a stop sign there anyway. There's
They do.
definitely a stop sign on Pond Hill.
Right.
There's no stop sign on West Street at that section. But if you think about it, if you look at the map, that is midway of,
I think we had
West Street.
previously identified that as well. Yeah.
yeah,
And there's a crosswalk there as well.
the crosswalk as well. Right. And just to remind the board that we do have, what is it, home rule where we could make a resolution without having to go to a public hearing. We may want to go to a public hearing, but we're not, it's not required. Because we filed that with the state in the beginning of 2024, that we could make those traffic,
Alterations, yeah.
To that section.
yeah,
130.
traffic signs and add stop signs and speed signs and such. Thank you. Any thoughts from the board?
I think they're both interesting, and I think they could really help slow things down. I mean, and is there thoughts about the stop signs that exist further up on Forester, that the odd, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have
that
all
is
this,
odd.
the speed data for that area, but it's more like, that is one of the biggest areas of crashes, because we have that crash data that Carly pulled as part of the Transportation Safety Action Plan. But it's just because it's a confusing intersection.
Configuration.
And when speaking
Yeah.
with the chief, counterintuitively, it seems like the safer way to do it would be to remove that one stop sign on Forester up there, so that Forester has the right of way. And someone coming off of Campsite or McFarland, they're at a stop sign and they have to
wait.
wait.
Yeah.
And then you add a stop at Burt Street, going northbound on Forester.
Yes, yeah, because
Yeah.
you have a
You want-
cross.
Makes sense.
Yeah, have-
Because
have a
it's got
crosswalk.
that same odd
Past Campsite, right?
maneuver.
Right. And that, I mean, the reason for that was really not so much McFarland or Campsite, but to slow people down as they're coming in.
Coming
Because
down.
they're coming in at 50 miles an hour, right,
Off of 17A.
off of 17A. And that has been effective to some degree, but, and so it would be good to at least have a stop sign at Campsite Way to continue that stop.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's something to think about because people do, well, and I know we talked about fixing that curve because people cut and they just cut and just keep speeding down there. But we also talked about improvements to that overall,
Overall.
which may be, you know, maybe that needs to be a stop sign there because people are stuck there and, but we could also use Safe Streets for All. We could use that planning process to sort that out. Another idea is we could use the process, the planning process, like, I don't know whether this is allowable or not, but the use of temporary stop signs that are still enforceable. Do you know? I'm looking at you.
That I
don't you
don't
know?
know. That's a question for Chief.
The Oracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we could do the before and the after data, you know, and we could make decisions based on, you know, public safety and all of that. And then that could feed directly into this process.
The only thing I would be afraid of is I know like it takes people a long time to get used to stop signs, and people coming out of McFarland or the library might be so used to people stopping that I can see it would be
That's a fair point.
confusing and
Yeah.
cause some incidents.
Yeah. I think that stopping people when they go like this is important because they are really flying.
Yeah.
And it's a shift to 20 miles an hour Yeah. And then just a quick follow-up, Tom, on the 2 additional speed data detectors. We have we budgeted $7,800 for that,
Perfect.
That's
for
great.
2 additional speed data detectors. And now we're allowed to use that money and make funding requests for that now,
Wow,
Great.
because we have
great.
the contract.
Nice.
That's great.
Do you want me to send you or I guess I'll get a quote to match the existing ones that we have, and how does that does it get reimbursed? Does it get released?
Yeah, it's just it's a cost reimbursable. So what we do is we make the purchase and then we submit when we submit a request for reimbursement.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are there, I guess, more complex, larger, more obvious signs that we could go with that have additional features relative to how they respond to the person that's speeding so that they might be better done? I think, and I've had this discussion with our DPW supervisor, relative to placing them up on the pole as high as they do. I wonder how many times they might be missed.
Well, then we get a truer reading.
And do we just have like orange and red? Are there ways to change the light configuration to, like, I've seen ones that are green.
I'll live with you. I got us the cheap ones. There are.
Yeah,
you know.
I think that we might want to consider investing in ones that are a little more expensive that maybe have some additional features.
Could you like messages? Like, slow down.
Slow down, you
Because
so-and-so.
some of them have double, speed limit 25, it says what the speed limit is, and then it says what your speed is.
We could
If
we
it's
could put
over
a much larger sign there. But another thing that that does work is to have a trailer. You know, the trailers that have
Right.
those larger speed signs.
Yeah.
It just maybe install it like when people are coming off of Galloway onto Forester. Just have one there.
That's a good idea,
That's
actually.
a
good idea.
Right,
Well-
like you are no longer in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, bro.
There's a school right there.
Yeah.
Bro.
Let's see if we can
Big
customize the
sign,
message.
yeah. You're like, what does that say?
That'd be too much fun if we can customize it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess because there's likely some potential wiggle room on the budget as well, but so it's close to $4,000 for
How much?
each one. Close to 4,000
For
for each
each?
one. Yeah. So
How much were the ones?
The El
$78.58.
Cheapo ones.
So with the two, this is pricing from before. It was like 6,300, including the bracket to install each of them.
6,300
For
total.
two. For two.
Oh, for two. Okay, yeah, because it's $39.29 for one.
Yeah. Well, if we get, there certainly are other options.
And there is the ability to move money around.
Yeah, you just have to do, we'd have to do a budget adjustment,
Modification.
budget modification. But I don't know if the expenses, I'll have to look at like how we submitted the expenses, because I may have submitted them as, like, I may not have broken it down super detailed. I can double check on it.
And as far as the intersection at Memorial Park Drive and Forester there, I think we need to take a long look at the way the crosswalks are constructed there. Because going across on that angle.
Yeah, I
is
believe that
not-
Karen came up with a different
Yeah.
configuration. Karen Hour.
Mike and I, Mike Moser and I looked at it, and it seems like we could go with from the sidewalk on Forester on the Memorial Park Drive side, is just right across the Memorial Park Drive intersection. And then when we get over there, continue the sidewalk a little ways, and then have it do an immediate left and do a crosswalk straight across, which means we'd have to do a curb drop
Sure. Yeah.
on the sidewalk there, but then you're connecting sidewalks in,
Yeah.
I think, what's a more reasonable fashion. It means that cars don't have to wait as long for people to take the hypotenuse of that triangle, that right angle triangle.
Yeah, it's
So
an odd one.
I think
That
I
is
think
odd.
it affects the wait time for vehicles on Forester in a positive way, and also pedestrian safety.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more than just a sign. It has to make sense geometrically and, you know,
And it, you know, it's
and for the
something that
pedestrian safety.
wouldn't be all that difficult for our men to do the work.
Right.
Well, and we can do it under the grant
Yeah,
too,
force account.
as one of the demonstration, yeah, and that's in
We can
kind,
do
which
it
is really
more
good.
creative crosswalk.
Yeah, and I did the budget, even though I like had done detailed breakdown and constructing the budget, it was submitted like in bulk. So all of the expenses are
Commingled.
commingled.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
or,
That's good.
you know, that's not a good term, but like,
Yes,
they're
no,
all
it's-
in one bucket, yeah. So there's like, I think we have 15,000 in expenses. Well, we have $30,000 in expenses for site deployment, and then an additional $15,000 for additional expenses that are, you know, like the radar signs, printing, stuff like that.
So should I put a resolution together and draft it for stop sign to get this started at 2 stop signs on Forester? Are we not
Well,
ready to?
How many
I don't-
months of data do we have gathered for, because what we want to do, I think it would be good to make sure that we're aligning with what we had submitted, right? Because, and we can also get in-kind time for everything. And because this is all good, it's all moving in the right direction, and we should get credit for it against the scope that we submitted, you know? So I think we had said we wanted to get a certain amount of time of data, and then we would test, we would deploy a solution, and then we would test, we would do the same amount of time post-deployment and see what it's like. And then,
So I have 3 weeks at that intersection.
yeah, and we should, I think we have more time than we want, that we
It's
want.
in November too. Could we maybe do it in like September, October?
We won't wait that long?
oh no,
no,
I was thinking in the spring.
I'm sure
or-
that would be busy as well with the park and Little League.
Well, I mean, that's okay, but I think we can't do any repainting of the road, or if we engage an artist, that's gonna take some time, so.
We could get an April study.
I think you're right, though, actually, about the park, that we should, yeah, maybe we do need to just put stop signs at there. We know it's a safety problem. It's not like we need to figure out how to slow people down. It's that area is kind of a different situation.
Yep. Plus there's 2 new buildings there, more people coming in.
Yeah, I think there may be, it might be important. And you have a lot of elderly residential trying to get across that street. Yeah.
I mean, 3 weeks is pretty good. If you feel like we need more, we can ask for the signs to be put back there.
I would say for the intervening period, we just keep moving the signs and getting intermittent data at both locations so that we've got more to deal with. I think that's what Mary's point was.
Yeah.
On Forester?
On both.
On both.
So, okay, so right there at West now, we could have them put over at Forester, is that what?
Yeah, for 3 or 4 weeks, and then move them back to
Okay.
West Street for 3 or 4 weeks.
But do we think that we need to go ahead and move forward with stop signs on Forester anyway? Because of the park? That's kind of where,
At this point in time, there's probably a lot less activity, both vehicles and people.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, I mean, I'd almost like to be able to implement the sidewalk change that we're considering before we put in the 4-way stop and do that together, but that's something that could to a great degree, be prepared for. But
This
we're
winter,
probably
yeah.
not gonna pour concrete until, March or April.
And I think it would make more sense to do, as what you're saying, as a whole package. So it's actually more visual for the public.
Right.
They see that, oh, they're
whole
making
thing changed,
changes.
yeah.
It's not just a sign.
Right.
I think that might have a greater impact and resonance, so,
I agree.
So we can revisit this in
yeah,
March.
yes, definitely. So you're gonna continue with getting more data,
Back at that intersection.
yeah,
Yeah, I could do that.
and,
It's blowing up my other schedule I had planned, but sure.
We did, yeah, and I think we were trying to get 3 months of data
3
at
months, okay,
each
all right.
site, and we had, we wanted to do 10 sites.
wow, that many.
Well, I'm gonna need more signs, Carla.
Well, because if we have 5 signs, right, we can do 5 sites and 5 sites. We have 3.
Yes and no, I mean, I like having it on opposite sides of the road now that we have enough, so you can truly see,
The difference.
yeah, the inbound, outbound.
Okay, well, we have our work cut out for us. Tom? Okay,
Come on.
so Tom, would you take the first motion?
Where am I?
Resolution enacting short-term rental.
Okay. Resolution enacting short-term rental local law. Whereas the village board has before it a proposed local law entitled "A Local Law to Amend the Village Code by Enacting Chapter 115 entitled Short-Term Rental Property." And whereas, following due notice, the village board held a public hearing on the proposed local law and heard all persons interested in the subject matter thereof. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the village board hereby adopts the above local law, and 2, that the said local law shall be published, posted, and filed in the office of the Secretary of State in Albany as required by applicable law.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second
Okay,
discussion?
yes,
I have one more proposed edit.
okay,
And it would just be that under the definitions where we say owner occupied, we would say owner or registered agent occupied. So that would just be the title. And then we would use that instead of owner occupied. I think that provides additional clarification.
that's true,
Yeah.
okay. And so,
That was it,
Should I revise this to be as amended?
as amended,
as
yeah.
amended, yeah.
Okay, so, I guess I need to make that motion again.
Well, you can just say,
Motion.
the motion as
amended.
amended, yeah.
Okay, that now therefore be resolved as follows, that the village board hereby adopts the above local law as amended, and that the said local law shall be published, posted, and filed in the office of the Secretary of State in Albany as required by applicable law.
Okay,
Second.
second. And it's a roll call.
Okay. Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Flora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Excellent. And Barry, do you want to take?
Well, that took 2 years to
Yeah.
get done.
More than that.
I think Trustee Lindbergh's been going that
Yeah.
Big shout out to Bill for all his
Yeah.
help on
No,
that
I
too. yeah.
know.
long. Yeah, the foundation was something he built, so.
Yeah,
Motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Boris Radzinski to carry over 5 vacation days.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a proposal from Engineering and Surveying Properties for project management services for the installation of a photovoltaic system at the DPW garage in Veterans Memorial Park located at 24 Memorial Park Drive with a not-to-exceed cost of $10,000 without prior written authorization from the Village of Warwick Board of Trustees, and authorize the mayor to sign the same. Funds are appropriated in Budget Code A1440.4000.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Valley Gardeners to use Veterans Memorial Park Pavilion on Tuesday, July 15th, 2025 for a membership meeting between 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Request includes use of a portable speaker and use of restrooms. Completed park permit, security deposit, and insurance have been received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Valley Chamber of Commerce to hold Operation Clean Sweep Saturday, April 26, 2025 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. with the setup to take place at 8 a.m. and breakdown to be completed by 4 p.m. Request includes use of the far end of the Chase Bank parking lot for a shredding event and other collection stations. The event is in coordination with the Lions Club and Girl Scouts. Completed facility use permit, proof of insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant the general.
Wait. I'm sorry. I abstain.
Oh, okay.
Motion to grant the general village election, sorry. Motion to hold the general village election at the Goodwill Hook and Ladder Company, 25 Church Street Extension on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. The polls will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve the budget modification request as per the village treasurer's memo received December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have two addendums.
More than two, right?
Oh, really?
Well,
Three. Four.
Three motions.
Oh, my
Four
goodness. Four motions.
Page 52.
Oh, it's like
Okay.
scroll.
Okay. So, where do we start? Barry, do you want to begin this?
Motion to waive the reading of resolution agreeing to maintain and repair lighting facilities adjusted by the state of New York via state let contract.
Okay.
Second?
Okay.
Okay.
All in
well, no.
favor? Go ahead.
So then I guess motion for the resolution agreeing to maintain and repair lighting facilities adjusted by the state of New York via state let contract.
Second.
So should we have just a brief discussion for anybody that's watching to know?
Yes,
what-
I think so.
So
Yeah.
what's happening here is this has to do with the long-awaited project to repave the state highway through the village, which is basically starting at Van Duzer Place on Maple Avenue, continuing all the way to the south end of the village on Route 94, and then also going from Oakland Avenue along Galloway to the village limits there. The project itself much bigger than that, but this is just within the village. And there are some lighting facilities they're going to provide, and this puts us basically, gives us the responsibility to then maintain those lighting facilities for a period of 25 years.
Right. So, the lighting facility, lighting pieces are mostly at the intersection of Colonial and Route 94, and they're historic lampposts that are the same as that we have on Railroad Green, and they had designated, I believe, 5 or 6,
I thought there
and
were four.
or maybe
There,
4.
there were 3 along the Buckby Center, I
Right.
believe, and then there was one across the street from that. Or were there others on? There were others on.
On 94, on
on
Maple
94,
or,
yeah.
or Main Street. So, I've spoken to the designers and lobbied for more on the opposite side, which would be on Colonial Avenue, right at the mobile station, which basically turn out their lights at 9 or 10 o'clock. So it's in pitch darkness. So, and also just aesthetically, it wouldn't make sense to have historic lampposts just on one side of the street. It really needed to be a complete picture. So they are doing that. So that's a good thing. They've been really great and cooperative in terms of listening to us. We haven't gotten everything we wanted, but when we state our case, they do listen, so.
Yeah.
So, okay, we have a second. So it's a roll call.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee LePay?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Okay,
Motion to waive the reading of Number 9, resolution granting the State of New York authority to perform water facilities adjustments for the village and agreeing to maintain water facilities adjusted via state-let contract.
Second.
Okay, do you want to explain a little bit of that?
You want to, this is waiving.
This is waiving the reading.
No, it just explain what.
Oh, well, okay, well, yeah, the pump station at Colonial and Maple Avenue will be replaced, and so it has to be abandoned. That's one of the items. And then the second is on Galloway Road. There's a culvert that's being replaced, and that carries across it, or underground, under the creek bed, a water line currently, and so that's part of the replacement
Great.
work.
Yes. Thank you, Barry. So we have a second, it's a roll call vote again.
No,
No, we have
Oh.
to,
we're just doing waiving the reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't, I was
Yep,
one
that's all
step
right.
ahead of you guys. Okay, have a motion to waive the reading. Yeah, could I have a, all in
Yes.
favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. So
Aye.
sorry.
Okay, so
caught in
let's
the
go to the resolution.
Resolution, yes.
Motion for resolution granting the State of New York authority to perform water facilities adjustments for the village and agreeing to maintain water facilities adjusted via state-let contract.
second.
Okay, now that's a roll call vote. Thank you.
Trustee Cheney?
Yike.
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Cora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the resolution agreeing to maintain and repair landscaping facilities adjusted by the State of New York via state-let contract.
okay,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion for a resolution agreeing to maintain and repair landscaping facilities adjusted by the State of New York via state-let contract.
Second.
All in, oh, it's a roll call.
Well, you want to explain this one?
Okay.
You probably know this one better than I do.
Okay, well, then,
so.
again, back to that area, the intersection of 94 and Colonial Avenue, the monument will be moved to an area in front of the Buckby Center. We're actually gaining property in front of the Buckby Center, and it'll become a pocket park. And part of this resolution is the landscaping of that area, which we will then, of course, be responsible for. So, okay, so we have a second, a roll call vote?
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Calora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Okay. And Tom, do you want to do that?
Sure. A resolution approving agreement for NYSERDA solar grant. Whereas the Village of Warwick has been awarded a Clean Energy Communities Program grant from the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA, in the amount of $150,000 for installation of a solar array on the roof of the Department of Public Works building at 24 Memorial Park Drive in the village. And whereas the village board has before it a proposed agreement with NYSERDA accepting the grant and setting forth the terms and provisions for planning, purchase, and installation of said solar array. And whereas the village board finds the terms and conditions of the said agreement to be acceptable. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the village board hereby approves the said agreement, a copy of which is annexed here too, and 2, that the mayor is authorized to execute the said agreement and any documents necessary to carry out the terms and provisions thereof.
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Calora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Very good. And that is the addendums and final comments from the board. Board members?
A few things. First off, the drought alert that we've been under is no longer. The state has lifted that. And the really good news is that as of December 27th, all our reservoirs were full and overflowing. So we have recovered completely. Sometimes that doesn't happen until January or February, but, or even March, but yeah, we're in a good spot, but that doesn't mean we don't want our customers to just unwisely use water. So if you could continue to monitor for any leaks, make sure that dishwasher's loaded to the hilt, and same with the clothes washer. You don't want to do it too full so it doesn't clean, but those types of things are ways to conserve water, and the more we conserve, even though we lose revenue, I think we're better off in total. The streetlight LED conversion, the contracts or the paperwork was finalized. We now own the streetlights.
Yeah.
That's the good news. And issues with the streetlights in the past were always handled through Orange and Rockland. Well, now that is being handled through our DPW. And so if there are problems with streetlights, you can call the village, 845-986-2031. And when you get the prompt, you can push button number 6, and that will take you directly to DPW, at which you can then report any streetlight problems. As far as the actual conversion taking place, we're going to have a meeting with our project manager and with the contractors in about 2 weeks, and my expectation is that the conversion will take place somewhere from mid-February to the end of March, and it should be done. So that's pretty much where we stand.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Barry.
On
That's
this,
great.
Barry. It's been great.
Thank you.
Longer than the short-term rental.
It was, yeah, actually.
Wow.
But it had a lot of moving parts, and so, thank you. Anybody else?
I do.
Yes, yeah.
So we have the raise grant that's due at the end of the month, and I think I may have mentioned this just before the break, but I think that to be safest, we should stick with as close to the initial scope that we had proposed, where we were highly rated as possible, rather than pulling everything back. There are some adjustments that have to be made. For example, I need to chat with the team that's working on the feasibility study for the multi-use trail to just see like some adjustments that they might want to make. So I'll send an email about that this week. And then just cutting back the amount of space needed for sidewalks on Galloway. But other than that, everything else is still relevant. So, I think we should just move forward with those minor adjustments and resubmit.
Okay. And as far as grants too, we are not in contract yet, but we will be. We'll probably the next meeting have a contract with the town for Momentum Strategies to use their services.
Millennium.
Yeah. So that's good.
Oh, when I sent a draft MOU to them for their review, I'll follow up on that because we have MOUs needed for them for multiple grants.
Right. So
did they draft an MOU for the Millennium?
They did, and it went to our council, who had a couple of changes that he wanted to see. So.
I didn't see any comments come back on the ones that I had drafted. Did you?
No.
Okay, I'll resend that.
Okay. Guys?
I'm good.
So we do have to go into executive session, and it would be that piece.
Okay, motion to go into executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Great. Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And when we come back into regular session, we will adjourn the meeting. We will have no more actual business tonight, so, thank you.
Oh, they're IMAs, not MOUs, sorry.
Right, IMS. yeah.